Hello and welcome back to the HyperX D2L Season 4 Finals. I'm your host, Anna Prosser-Robinson, and I am so excited to be here on the final day where the top 2 teams from the Eastern and the top 2 teams from the Western Division of the D2L Season 4 will be battling it out for their share of $50,000 in prize pool. The top team will walk away with $25,000 today. It's a double elimination bracket. Best of 3s until the finals, which will be a best of 5, and the team from the winners bracket will go into that final with a 1-0 advantage in the series. I'm super excited to see it, and I'm so thankful to all of our sponsors who have made this event possible. Monster, Razer, Astro, and of course our title sponsor HyperX, who has all sorts of really exciting products to show off here at CES in Las Vegas at Caesars Palace. We're having a really great time here, so thanks for that, HyperX. And they also have lots of discounts, lots of exciting products, lots of contests, so be sure to check those out, and be sure to let our sponsors know if you like this broadcast, because they're supporting what we love, and we want to show them a little love too. So all that aside, we're going to get into our first match of the day, which is going to be a really exciting series between Team LGD as well as Vici Gaming. So let's talk to a representative from each team, get a little bit of their thoughts, and then we'll get right into playing some Dota 2. Come on up, guys. Josh, you want to just stand next to me and then, well, okay. All right, well, LGD so far has been undefeated in this tournament. But lately, you guys have been having a little bit of trouble against VG. What are you going to have to do in this series to make sure you maintain your undefeated status in the D2L?
问瑶说，你们在这一届 D2L 到现在是全胜，但是你们打 VG 最近并不是特别容易问有做什么准备之类的。
最近打 VG 的话，我们整体状态还在调整，然后这一次比赛我们就是调整到了最好的状态，然后我相信会在结果上面会有一个改观。
We've needed to make the adjustments to try to get our whole team up to top form, but they think that we think we've done so this time, and so we're going to be ready here.
And you know, the same for VG. You have been doing really well against LGD, but they have been undefeated so far in the D2L. They seem to have this tournament on lock. Do you think you guys have what it takes to dethrone them here?
问题是LGD 全胜，你们有没有信心能够战胜他们？
信心是有的，然后我觉得比赛就是看哪边发挥好，哪边就能取胜。希望今天我们能有一个出色的发挥。
In terms of confidence, we've got it, and it will come down to who executes and performs better, and hopefully we are the ones to do so.
Great. And did you expect that this was going to be the matchup you would find yourself in the winner bracket at this point in the tournament?
有没有预料到这次胜者组就是你们两个？
有这个预估，我们对就是大部分情况都有过讨论，然后也相信中国队的状态，然后也调整的应该都还不错。
Says we have indeed expected it, but we've also made preparations and expectations for every possible matchup. Overall, though, Chinese teams seem to have been able to pick things up a bit recently.
And what kind of games, what kind of series can we expect here in the audience from you guys in this matchup, do you think?
你觉得你们打 LGD 这一场，大家能看到怎么样的比赛？
我觉得大家应该会看到，一个很精彩的 BO3吧。
Says I think we will see very exciting best of 3.
Sounds great to me. Please go ahead and shake hands. Have a great time. Take your seats, either one, that's fine. Great, guys. We'll watch you play with great enjoyment, and now it is my distinct pleasure to introduce you to our casters for the day, AC and Merlini.
And we're live, ready to roll with our first best of 3 of the day. Going to be the upper bracket finals on the way right now. And I'll tell you, coming out of the Eastern Division, we knew these two teams would be very strong. LGD obviously finished perfect, and as of yet is still perfect in D2L play. Vici Gaming, though, at this point, I mean, you can't call them the Cinderellas. I think Fnatic, after their win last night, has that title on lockdown. Vici, though, is a bit of a sweetheart in this tournament. I mean, when you look at their path, what they had to do to get to where they are right now, coming through the bubble race, coming the long way. They got past DK and Invictus Gaming to make it to the grand finals. Great play yesterday as they downed Alliance, and now taking on, without a doubt, their biggest challenge so far in LGD. Looking ahead here, Ben, what do you think is going to be key for them? I mean, we know both of these teams love their 5-man. They love to get very aggressive early. So what's it going to be? Which team's going to have the advantage coming in based on their known play styles?
I think both of these teams have very similar play styles, and as ROTK said, it's all going to come down to execution. Both of these teams are fairly confident heading in, and I'm not really sure if any of them are going to deviate from their normal 5-man strategy, but I think that Vici actually has the edge in that category. LGD slightly underperforming recently, at least compared to Vici. So LGD is going to have their work cut out for them if they pick their typical 5-man, snowbally 10 to 15 minute lineup. Oh,
exactly. I mean, that's really Vici's wheelhouse. We saw that yesterday in their opening series against Alliance. When they got away from that is when they kind of got out of their rhythm. They got out of their groove. Whenever they went back to what they know and what they do best, it matches up extremely well with LGD, and it certainly allowed them to get past Alliance, who was, to, I would imagine, most people's surprise, eliminated yesterday by Fnatic. So moving on into the draft, we can already see a couple out on both sides. Alchemist and Venomancer not going to be joining us, courtesy of Vici, while Enchantress and Clockwork banned out by LGD. And we talked briefly yesterday. Clockwork really was a hero that was, for the most part, shunned by a lot of the teams we saw playing in a lot of situations you wouldn't expect. And now we're going to see a very quick first pick Doom out from LGD.
It's pretty unusual to shun Visage in favor of a Doom pick. And yeah, as you said, Clockwork was kind of forgotten, I'd say, in many of the matchups. But I think these two teams know each other very well and know what they like to run. Alchemist, I don't think that we'll see any Alchemist play in this best of 3, though.
Oh, yeah. Wouldn't surprise me at all to see the hero banned constantly. And LGD taking out the Clockwork pick. We've seen ROTK and his play on that hero in particular. Really, though, whenever I look at these two lineups, the player I think that is going to dictate in terms of individual performance how this series goes for both teams is going to be Super. We've seen it time and time again. When Super has a chance to get off to a good start coming out of that mid lane, whenever he has a chance to get a hero, get his hands on a hero he's comfortable with, Storm Spirit, for example, and so on and so forth, that just opens up Vici Gaming to just run roughshod over the enemy team whenever it comes to the transition from early to mid game. If you can hold down Super, though, if you're LGD, that is a huge, huge step in knocking them out of that rhythm that they have used to such great success so far, and I have no doubt that's going to be a big part of their game plan moving forward.
And Vici taking quite a bit of time, already dipping into the reserve time for their first 2 picks. They actually don't have any clue. Usually if you don't have an idea of what both your picks are going to be, you just pick one hero, reset the timer, and then keep on going so you don't burn through all your reserve. But they are taking some time.
Early Lone Druid pick up. This is kind of an odd draft already. I mean, we've seen Doom and Lone Druid played all throughout the group stage and certainly even here in Las Vegas. But to see these two heroes picked up in first pick position, a little bit odd.
And Lone Druid, I guess he doesn't really get affected by Doom. Maybe they're looking for those type of heroes, just naturally tanky heroes. But at the same time, LGD can, if you're just going to pick like high HP strength heroes, LGD can just pick Lifestealer very early on. And Vici's going to have their work cut out for them. So Visage, not any surprise. I was actually surprised that LGD didn't take it first pick.
Yeah, the Visage pick up, I mean, it's something we've seen, like you said, and this isn't the first time. I mean, since we've been here, Visage in a lot of cases has been shunned. We've seen him make it all the way through the first pick phase and on into the second ban phase before he's given any attention. But Vici grabbing him up certainly fits in with their play style. I'm a little interested in what they plan to do with that Lone Druid, though. I mean, already you can see potentially the makings of a very heavy push and early team fight strategy. Visage, once he hits 6, able to get his familiars out, helps with the push and certainly capable hands can be an absolute handful to deal with. Of course, on top of the hero's innate strengths, his mass amount of damage output from Soul Assumption. Very good in lane as well, gives you some options if you want to be aggressive or if you just want to begin roaming very early on. The Druid, though, and the Visage, again, if you see an early Radiance out on the Druid, perhaps, something like that, you can go ahead and just decide for a guns forward kind of an approach. Pugna still available as well. We'll see if he makes it through the second ban phase.
Are we going to see any doomed bears this game?
Doomed bears.
I've seen it before. We saw it at MLG when it was DK versus Speed, I think. Well, there were a lot of doomed bears. It was just like everybody killed a bear.
Yep. And Dragon Knight going to be the second pickup from LGD. So they're already looking to be fairly tanky. I mean, Doom does have a fair amount of strength gain. We saw that in play yesterday. Doom that's given a good start coming out of mid. I want to say
5 seconds
Demon
remaining.
we saw on Doom coming out of mid yesterday. And just because of his innate strength gain and the way the hero tends to build, he can be a handful and very difficult to take down. And you combine that with the Dragon Knight, certainly the DK pick, you would imagine that'll be run mid. But, yeah, already pretty beefy on the side of LGD as we move into the second ban phase.
Yep, Xiao8 played an off-lane Doom yesterday.
Dire team ban.
So I fully expect the Dragon Knight, Yao mid. And it seems like Xiao8 and Yao, I mean, they have switched up heroes a little bit often. Like Xiao8 has Magnus is not as good as Yao's. And I think that they realize that Yao is a pretty good solo mid too.
Yep. Pugna does get banned, and no real
LGD's
surprise there. And it looks like
ban.
both teams are on the same page. They don't want to give the Chen pick to combine with Dragon Knight. We've seen the effectiveness of that combination time and time again. And Vici, or excuse me, LGD, taking out that Pugna. Pugna would have fit in extremely well with the Lone Druid Visage approach in terms of just being able to melt down early towers. Now LGD beginning to give some attention to the early team fight potential and banning out the Elder Titan. So trying to limit the options in, which Vici has in terms of expanding this composition.
Vici still very flexible in their strategy, though, not really knowing what they're going for. LGD, they could just go for a full tank lineup paired with Abaddon or Treant Protector even, although I don't really think they like either of those two heroes. Would complement their tankiness quite well.
Waiting on the fourth ban out now from Vici Gaming. And you know, this is, whenever I look at this series, this is either going to be a short series or a very, very long series. I could very easily see the series going 2-0 in terms of either team taking a win and games all being less than 30 minutes. I could equally see this series going 3 games, 60 minutes apiece. That's just how flexible these teams are. However, LGD has shown us, and they showed us all throughout the group stage, finishing perfect 7-0 and not dropping a match even here at the grand finals yet. They've shown us they can transition into an ultra late game approach, whereas we've seen Vici struggle in making that transition. So LGD might keep that in mind. It might be something that they want to even plan for. Say, okay, we're going to try to knock you out of your rhythm early, but we want to have that late game safety belt because we know, or at least we think, we're better than you at that phase of the game.
The Disruptor ban's very unusual. It sometimes sets up for like a Slark pick maybe for Vici, but it's still, it doesn't really count on Lone Druid. It's not very good versus Visage. It's like mediocre versus Rubik too, so I'm a little confused as to that, unless they're setting up for another pick. I think it does do very well versus Slark. I think there's a lot of heroes that do very well versus Slark, but LGD missing 2 of their supports at the time of the ban was definitely targeted for a Vici support ban. So Chen, they banned actually 4 supports thus far.
Yeah. And the Crystal Maiden pickup from LGD, that's going to help Dragon Knight out immensely in lane. And I really like that combination whenever you can get it and it fits into a cohesive plan. Just say even just 1 point into aura helps Dragon Knight so much in terms of being able to harass and last hit in mid with breathe fire. And if you're able or willing to put multiple points in fact, we've seen LGD do that a number of times where they'll go with a 1-1-3 approach on the Crystal Maiden with a spam-heavy lineup. So even more options available to them. Vici, though, grabs up a tanky hero of their own, getting the Bristle back. And, you know, the Rubik pick, Rubik's always going to be a great hero, especially against the heroes we see already. Some very, very good spells to steal if you're him. Bristleback going to give them the potential to start fighting under enemy towers very early and deal with any perceived aggression they think LGD is putting together out of their lineup already.
You know, Bristleback, another hero that does not really get affected too much by Doom. So, yeah, Vici, their lineup is just jack of all trades, really. Just nice, balanced lineup. They have decent late game, good supports, okay roam, I'd say. I think their gank is especially weak, but they can easily remedy that with a Storm last pick for Super.
Yeah, I agree with you. Super right now seems to be lacking a hero. And picking up a Storm Spirit for him gives him range and reach.
It's not very good versus Doom, though.
Yeah, that's a good point. Really, I mean, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. I mean, when I look at Vici's lineup, it's hard for me to identify something they're bad at, but at the same time, it's kind of hard to identify anything they're particularly good at. They're going to be able.
They're good at late game.
Yeah, I mean, late game with the Lone Druid and the Bristleback is nice. I do think that Visage and Rubik are going to have to be very active early on, especially with a mid-Dragon Knight. You simply don't want to just let him do his own thing. I mean, obviously, it seems like we don't know the mid matchup quite yet, but LGD deciding to pour on the aggression in a different way. They pick up the IO.
Yeah, that's similar to what they ran yesterday in their series. So, I mean, who is it? DD? DD plays the EO? Oh, DDC plays the EO.
DDC.
And DD plays the other support. So, yeah, I mean, his EO was pretty good. And I haven't seen too many Eastern teams run it, but it's not uncommon nowadays.
Oh, yeah. They finally picked it up. And in fact, LGD, we saw them run it a number of times.
10 seconds remaining.
In our group stage. I would, if I'm not mistaken, they probably ran IO more than any other
5 seconds
team,
remaining.
East or West, out of our group stage. Maybe Fnatic is a challenge for that. But still waiting to see both of these compositions really fill themselves out as we wait on the final ban and obviously the last few picks. But, I mean, based on what we see so far, Merlini, Storm Spirit is banned out, so LGD not going to let Super get his hands on that hero.
Yeah, it's a good ban. You don't want your EO to be picked off, and it's very difficult to relocate gank a Storm Spirit. You're going to have to use Doom every time that you want to lock them down. So I think it's a good ban, even though they do have Doom as a somewhat useful solution against them. So Super, his DK and his Storm are far better than his other solos. Not really sure what they're going to pick up for him. He also plays Pugna fairly often, but that's also banned out. So I doubt he'll be playing Lone Druid or Bristleback in the solo mid role. So this hero, more likely than not, will be the solo mid.
Vici down to their last few seconds. Only 5 seconds.
I haven't really seen him play like Puck or
Kunkka.
Oh, I've seen him play Kunkka a lot, though.
Yeah, I do. I like the Kunkka pickup a lot for Vici. I love the way that he fits in with their natural play style. And he's going, I mean, he's just a hero who can always fight. Once he hits level 6, he has Ghost Ship on just a 60-second cooldown, and that continues to go further and further down, especially when you talk about 2 melee damage dealers in Doom and Dragon Knight. They're going to be very, very susceptible before BKBs to X-Torrent boat. And, you know, if that's executed correctly, especially in a mid position, if that ends up being a mid Kunkka, which by all accounts it seems like it will be, they just have to be conscious of the fact that a well-played Kunkka will just completely run over Dragon Knight with X-Torrent over and over again.
I think he's going to be a very high priority target to be doomed, though. Yeah. Especially before he gets off his boat. But Vici has a lot of damage coming out, too. Visage, Lone Druid, Bristleback, Kunkka all provide a ton of damage. And LGD, it's like Wisp Balls are so-so. Doom is more for utility, not really damage unless you eat a Alpha Wolf. Crystal Maiden, I mean, with a freezing field is nice, but is she going to be able to get it off that often? And Tiny.
Going to be a carry Tiny coming out. I actually really, really like that. He's a hero who scales remarkably well into the late game. Once he gets up a Scepter, he can push with the best of them. Him plus Dragon Knight is ridiculous. And let's be honest, outside of Chaos Knight, there really isn't another hero as good at being a part of an IO combination as Tiny. So it's going to definitely be a high-octane approach coming out of LGD. And really can't wait to see them execute this. Vici has a great team in their own right, but this game, based on what we see so far, especially when you have the Bristleback and the Kunkka on the side of Vici, they need to create space, they need to make time and make room for the Lone Druid to farm, and they have to make sure that when they do fight, they're the ones dictating the terms. Every time they separate out and find themselves in a bad position, LGD is going to have everything they need to punish them for it.
I actually like LGD's lineup slightly more than Vici's. I think that if Tiny gets huge, Vici can't really do that much about it. They can try and kite him, but he's still going to be able to do a ton of damage. And they have 3 melee damage dealers too, which suffers very, very heavily against a Tiny. And more likely than not, none of them are going to get BKBs. Kunkka rarely gets BKB. Most of the time, it's just like Shadow Blade into crit, I think, is the most common build. Lone Druid rarely gets BKB on his bear. Bristleback usually just goes tank items because oftentimes you want to tank damage. So, yeah, I like the Tiny pick a lot.
Taking a look at what we see is seems like there is some issue. The working on maybe a headset or something along those lines. But taking a look at the 5 here, break down the laning phase for me, Ben. What do you think we can expect to see? I mean, obviously, Kunkka versus Dragon Knight mid would make the most sense. Do you think there's going to be a lot of roaming on either side, or do you think either team's going to throw us a curveball, maybe a safe lane Lone Druid coming out from Vici Gaming while they try to do something aggressive with Rubik, Visage, and the Bristleback?
I don't think it'll be an aggressive try from Vici, although it very well could be. I think they can just get Magic 6 and survive in the lane. And Xiao 8 versus Lone Druid, I guess that's a pretty good matchup for Vici. So, I mean, if they want to limit Tiny's farm, then they can do that. But it really depends on what their objectives are early. They either can get Bristleback huge by putting him in the safe lane versus a Doom and just zoning the Doom out, or they can try and make Tiny suffer a little bit and let ROTK suffer as a little bit as well. But I don't think they're going to do that just because ROTK is their offlane player. I don't remember the last time I've seen him with a lane partner even. So more likely than not, Vici's just going to dump Sylar top, super mid, ROTK bottom, and roam with the 2 supports, Fenrir and FY, and try and kill Yao a lot. I think they can kill Dragon Knight a fair amount with Kunkka, especially if he goes for the early double X build.
Looks like we're all ready to go. We get the resume call from LGD, and both teams are beginning to move out. We'll watch the lanes take shape. Once again, welcome into our winners bracket final. Whichever team manages to prevail here today and here in this series will move on to our grand finals. The loser, of course, dropping down to the lower bracket to meet the Cinderellas of the D2L so far in Fnatic, who, of course, surprised the world last night and taking out Alliance despite being down 2 of their core 5 and using 2 stand-ins in Demon and AUI. Looks like we might have a little bit of potential for aggression as both teams are prioritizing the same piece of real estate, moving down into the Radiant side jungle. ROTK, of course, leading with the face as the Bristleback, one would expect. And he's going to spot Xiao 8 and trying to pursue him out. Has yet to place a skill point. Sees Rabbit there as well, so they're going to know this is a 5-on-5 situation. And a little bit of warning
30
happens.
seconds
We can see
to
them
battle.
already taking out the hard camp here in the Radiant jungle as they exit.
Yeah, both of these teams' 5-man at the early game is not that strong. I guess LGD is slightly stronger since they have like DK Stun, Frostbite into Avalanche. Vici's is like, I mean, Lone Druid is not very useful. Bristleback is like okay at level 1. Kunkka not terribly useful either. So both teams not really looking to skirmish that early because neither team has like a huge advantage in that department. Looks like Xiao 8 will be able to eat the big camp though on the bottom lane. They were only able to block one of those with a Sentry Ward.
The Spirit Bear manages to pick up the haste rune, and it will be an offensive tri-lane. So I thought when we saw this lineup, this could end up being what we saw, just basically based on nothing except the fact that Lone Druid is going to be a hero who's under the gun from the word go. He has to make sure he gets his farm early. He has to make sure he gets his levels, and just being able to run this offensive tri-lane into the face of the Tiny. I mean, Tiny's very much a peak and valley hero. If you can hold him down early, he doesn't hit his peak quite as fast in terms of his toss avalanche combination, but he does naturally kind of fall off after that as he looks to farm his big items up following his scepter. So right now they're just trying everything they can to make sure they hold him down, let the Lone Druid farm safely, and then capitalize on Bristleback's innate strength.
Here's some coming out.
And BDC there to help out, but a little bit of damage being done. And this is bound to be a very volatile lane. DD is setting up shop in the jungle. He's almost level 2 already. So as of right now, a 3-on-2 situation for LGD. They have to play very, very carefully, and this will stunt Tiny's growth. Because DDC take a lot of damage, taking a bit more. And first blood drawn by Fenrir, sitting just on the other side of the woods, and there with the Soul Assumption to get the job done. And really, they could not have executed that better. They did every bit of damage they could before having to pursue him under the tower, and Fenrir had to have been close to max range on that Soul Assumption.
Yeah, DDT was just a little bit out of position there, and he was waiting for the Crystal Maiden. Crystal Maiden still is not level 2, though. She wasn't able to double stack this camp, and this camp was blocked, and this camp has Mud Golems, so, and this camp has Mud Golems, too. So he's actually had a very unfortunate series of events that have led him to still being level 1, and he is trying to solo smoke, but Not really sure who can kill. Maybe Super, but Super has 3 bottle charges. He can easily bottle up to full, and that is going to be a very, very difficult gank attempt. So it looks like he's rotating top, trying to kill Siler. Siler is also very high on HP, though, about 500. No boots on him yet, though. Xiao 8, meanwhile, has boots.
DD comes up to ward out the pool camp. She said solo smoking up. Not even level 2 yet, so doesn't even have a point into his aura. And having that aura is going to be of huge importance once he does hit level 2. They might even put multiple points into it just to help Tiny out. Right now, this is where Tiny's mana-hungry nature early on in lane really becomes a problem. He does have an IO in lane, but as we can see, DDC certainly not having the start he would like either. And ROTK free to just last hit right in his face. He's at 13 CS. Tiny has only claimed 2 CS thus far. DD is using a clarity, and it's going to end up taking a run at Siler short. Here we go.
He didn't go for Arcane.
They're going to move in. They want to kill. They're going to get you with the Nova. Frostbite coming out. Do they have the damage? They will. And this is a very nice return kill for LGD, getting themselves on the board and doing their best to hold down Siler. Good rotation, good patience from DD.
There's a smoke from FY, but it doesn't look like he'll be able to get a kill. This Sentry Ward actually was able to see this Observer Ward right here, so LGD does not have vision on the bottom half of the map. They have to play very, very scared. Rabbit gets Grave Chilled on the tower, but it does not look like a gank attempt will happen.
And we can still see DDC and Rabbit being shoved around. They've got between them. Compare that to Siler's 20 and the 17 for ROTK. And in mid, Super, we haven't talked about this at all. Super's doing quite well as well. 17-4, slightly ahead of Yao, who on the Dragon Knight is sitting at 16-2. So the battle of the melees roughly a wash.
Both boots on the supports, FY and Fenrir roaming as a duo, but Yao is sitting far to the left of the creep wave and will not be in any immediate danger. Waiting for the 4-minute rune, and the tower will scout him out though, so they go in full vision. Super has picked up the early 2x build. He is level 5 right now with a 1-1-2. Has not placed his 5th skill point.
And we see Yao chased away, but able to make it back to safety at bottom. ROTK left to his own devices, soaking a lot of solo XP and really feeling fairly invincible. He's almost level 5. Rabbit has not suffered that much in terms of experience, about half a level behind right now, which could be better, but Fenrir has made his way up. Siler's there, and they get a root on Xiao 8. Fenrir there to help follow it up. DD throws out the Nova to try and slow them down. Soul Assumption. Not enough to bring him down, but certainly enough to scare the hell out of him, as he has to hustle on back to base. So very fortuitous route from Siler, just not enough to secure a kill.
Yep, and Super and Yao just trying to farm it up in mid. Both of them relatively even CS. Rabbit finally getting some creeps on bottom. He was sitting at 4 CS just a couple minutes ago, now sitting at 13. ROTK is getting very farmed too. He has the highest CS in the game right now. Siler sitting next to an invisible FY, waiting for someone to poke their head out.
We see the 2 supports from LGD spending some time towards mid, DDC and DD. Both going to hang out and wait for what they hope will be a little over-aggression from Super. So far, he continues to play very safe. The one-on-one in bottom, though, helping Rabbit out quite a lot. He's about a full level behind right now. He's more than doubled in CS by ROTK. Do you think this bottom lane has gone as well as Vici needed it to? Have they held Tiny down enough?
I think not only keeping Tiny down is important, but also keeping Wisp under leveled. He's only level 3 right now, so I think that they've been doing a very good job. DDC and DD hooking up right now. They are smoked, looking for a kill in mid, but Fenrir is sitting behind him. It's going to be a difficult kill attempt.
Ward goes down, and Super, as you said, going to be a tough
Radiant's
target.
top
They want to take a
tower
run
is
at him.
under
They're actually
attack.
going to head elsewhere.
Radiant
Move down
structures
towards
are
the bottom rune
fortified.
spot in anticipation of the 6-minute rune. They'll spot ROTK. And he'll be keeping an eye on things, and the rune will spawn at top. That'll be a haste rune. It looks like it'll be snagged up by Yao.
Siler going for the early phase boots on his main hero, not his bear. Super looking for the rune on top, but it's going to be gone. Looks like he's just going to bottle crow it up after seeing the haste rune on Yao. And the supports on LGD not really stacking, not really pulling right now. There is this Observer Ward on bottom to keep track of where Wisp is and also to block that spawn at the same time. So Wisp needs to get level 6 ASAP. He's still sitting at level 3 and just barely into level 3.
We see LGD has rotated 2 back down to bottom. ROTK made his way to mid and will be making his path back down to that bottom lane. He's in pretty good shape. Fenrir level 3. Beginning to rotate up. Xiao 8 at level 6.5. Not too bad a day's work for him up here so far.
Siler's going to run into him.
Yep, and spots him out immediately, but Scorched Earth and the Tiki is going to be enough to scare him away. and they need to hustle back under their towers. We see the Elder Dragon form and the Haste Room going to work. Fenrir down to about half health. He's doomed as well, so that's one sure kill. ROTK shows his face. They're looking for a root out of the bear. Can they pursue them out? A little bit too quick on both. That Haste Room, plus a couple of nice teleports, securing a nice return kill as Fenrir drops.
FY should have telekinesis him earlier. He was like in the fog over here, and it was clear that they were going for the Visage. And if he telekinesis the Dragon Knight and brings him back over here, then they have to fight under the tower if they want to kill. And it was just, they were able to engage in here as opposed to the other area. And it looks like Super is caught out in mid.
Yep, slowed down up the tether. Here comes the boat, and they're going to try to re-engage. ROTK's there, but unable to chase them uphill fast enough. Super taking the dose of the rum, and happy to have survived that attempt. Caught with the Nova. Now they might try to catch him again. There's another Dragon Tail from the low ground. Frostbite to Super. Down to about a quarter health. Has some help. Needs to make it away quickly. X marks the spot there on Yao, and ROTK chasing him down. DDC going to make a run down the river. He's slowed. The Quill Spray doing so much damage, but Tiny's there with the Avalanche. Are going to toss the Doom, and ROTK has to clear out. He's going to end up being the second death. Super in trouble as well. Another Dragon Tail. Super hanging around the fight way too long. Big exchange going the way of LGD as they take a 5-2 lead off of that battle in mid.
And a toss, too. The toss hit the Rubik, who is about to hit Dragon Knight one more time, too. So very nice engagement by LGD there. A lot of it was set up by this Observer War, being able to stun uphill as Dragon Knight set the death up for Super. Very nicely played.
Super just hanging around way too long. He was down to about a quarter health and tried to re-engage. ROTK.
There's smoke from these three heroes. They're looking for a kill. I mean, if they kill DDC, that's whatever. They don't really want to kill the Wisp right now. Yeah, it's important to keep them under-leveled, but using 3 heroes for a smoke, and it's going to be 4 with Sylar too, is not your highest priority. Xiao 8 is level 8 right now, going for that mech. Rabbit is level 8 right now too. CM's doing okay in terms of levels. They definitely need more levels on Fenrir too. He is 1 full level away from his summon familiars, and looks like DDC has gotten out of top lane, so these 4 heroes are wasting their time in top. Sylar not really so much so, but the smoke's about to run out in 5 seconds. That will be a failed smoke game.
Yeah, at least they got into position quicker, I suppose. They should be able to take a free tier 1 right here, as this is very, very low, only 233
Radiant's
HP
top tower is under attack.
no glyph, so down and will go uncontested. Druid taking
Radiant's
the last hit
top tower has
we can see he has banked 2,500 gold. He's just been quietly farming for the most part. We haven't talked about that, but on pace for a fairly solid Radiance timing. And really, I think that's the timing window that Vici is prioritizing. Get a Radiance, go fight, make them stand up against you.
It's still going to be annoying for Sylar to deal with the mass
Dire's
stun, though. If he
bottom
tries to
tower is
send his
under
bear out to
attack.
split push, they can easily get stun locked down in between Dragon's Tail, Frostbite, Crystal Nova, Tiny stun too into another Dragon's Tail. It can die, so you can't be as willy-nilly careless about it as you can often be with that bear.
And Rabbit spotted ROTK coming up. ROTK sensed it out. And now DDC's there to hook up with him. DDC about halfway between 5 and 6, and that's when we can expect the fireworks out of LGD once relocation becomes a possibility. Sylar, though, again, being left largely alone. And LGD has not done a good job, or maybe just flat out decided not to try to contest the Lone Druid all that much after that initial kill.
They
on
need
him.
level
We'll
6
see.
on the Wisp to contest it, or else it's too inefficient.
Yep. And Vici reaping the rewards of that. Continuing to stick his 3 here in mid, though. Super, Fenrir, and FY, nut to butt, right underneath the tier 1.
Another smoke.
Dire's
FY leading
bottom
the
tower
way.
is under attack.
And we'll see from what target. Yep, they're going to go ahead and loop around behind. Try
Xiao
to
8
catch.
and DD are smoked, meanwhile, in the mid lane.
Dire's middle tower
Wondering
is
why
under
no one
attack.
is here to defend the mid tower. Now the flags are going off in LGD's head. It's like,
Yep.
why is no one defending mid? They're just letting our DK whack on the tower for free. So they know that something's up. They know that Vici's up to something very sneaky. They still have 20 seconds left on their smoke. DDC and Rabbit pop super smoke. They pop FY smoke.
Dire's middle tower is under
They're
attack.
pinging it out. Here comes FY. DDC making a run for the edge. We hear a teleport going on. Yep, here we go. They're going to catch FY. FY baited out and punished for it. In the meantime, Super just clearing out. They're going to go ahead and doom Fenrir. And Xiao 8 moving so quickly will pursue him out. Rabbit tosses him and secures a double kill. LGD.
A super in mid.
Super, frostbitten, throws out the boat. Eats the Dragon Tail. Here comes the relocation. Just a fresh 6 on DDC. Should be enough to secure another kill. As fast as Super is, not fast enough. Dragon Tail there to catch him out. And that's a killing spree already for Yao. 8-2 following that. They're trying to get some work done under the other tower. DDC overextended under the enemy Tier 1. Ends up being a return kill. But while this has been going on, Siler doing what he can, pressuring the top Tier 2 and gaining a lot of gold in the process. 3,200 gold, getting very near that relic now. There is a rotation. DD has a haste room, but not quick enough to catch him before he TPs out.
LGD has great map awareness, though. They're picking really, really good fights. When Vici smokes, they smoked twice, and they lost a T1 on top of
Rabbit
it.
with trouble at bottom. Here's a TPN. They may want to cancel that. Nope, that's going to be Yao, and yeah, I have no idea why he allowed that to finish. He's going to be pursued out. The goo, the urn charges, the fair's right there looking for a route, and Yao in a lot of trouble. FY even managing to get breathe fire before all was said and done. Here comes a mass TPN though. Yao just so tanky. Rabbit there tosses the bear on ROTK and Siler. And they managed to bring one down. Siler hanging around the back of the fight. 1-for-1 exchange so far as DDC tries to get out. There's the channel of the freezing field from DD, but telekinesis out of it as he drops Super now. Next on the list has just 30 HP, make it 0 HP. Rabbit misses with the avalanche, but Fenrir not the tankiest target under the enemy Tier 1, and a heavy overextension for Vici as the Dragonite proved to be way too tanky for them to take down, and it took a little while, but the cavalry arrived as LGD now doubles up Vici 12-6.
That was a very aggressive dive, too. Diving a DK when your Bristleback is very low on mana, pretty much all their heroes were low on mana at that point, is a very dangerous situation, too. Like, they could easily buy back and relocate in or just TP in, and Rabbit has had some very nice tosses this game, too. He's tossing a lot of the heroes and just bursting them down 100% to, like, 30 with the toss combo.
Siler finally has his relic up, just spent the majority of his gold, so has a little ways to go before that Radiance. On pace for a 16 to 18-minute Radiance if all continues to go as it has. Might even have it up quicker than that. Find himself a nice little lane to push. DDC, though, now level 8. Tiny level 11. Has 2 points into Grow, so has gone with the max Grow build. And already has up a set of drums as well. So phase drums done on Tiny. Would imagine he'll start working a second round. In the meantime, Yao goes Elder Dragon form and decides to push down this mid tower. They do have a glyph if they want to use it. They have 4 in position to contest, while 3 continue to converge. And yep, there's the deny. So nice shot from Fenrir.
Middle tower has been denied.
Nice deny from him. And DDC just chilling with Rabbit on bottom. Rabbit not anywhere close to a scepter, but still doing very well. 4-1 and 4 on him. Siler just looking to farm his Radiance, about 900 gold away. Florida supports are rotating around. ROTK doing an Ancient stack right now, but in no condition to fight.
Level 2 Doom on the way
Dyer's
soon
middle
for Zhao 8.
is
He's
under
almost
attack.
level 11. He's smoked up with Yao and DD in tow. Moving out towards the bottom lane. He's got 3, make it 4 targets. Moving back under the Tier 2, and they're going to try to loop around. This could end up pretty bad if they're not real careful.
Super's going to get caught.
Super caught out. Throws out the Torrent. It'll whip on Zhao 8. He's got help. Here comes Rabbit. Caught 2 with the Avalanche and toss. 1 down. Here comes the boat. Boat will connect on a couple. Buys time for the TPN. Here's the mechanism as they heal through the damage. Zhao 8 didn't see what he had stolen. We'll check in a moment. In the meantime, the glyph is popped. And looks like FY managed to get Scorched Earth. But all they can do is just try to delay the inevitable, as the Tier 1 was destined to drop. And it looks like LGD has other things to do now. Siler was left alone in that top lane again, up to 700 gold. Very close now to that relic, and that's really, or to that Radiance. And that's really what's going to change things. I don't know that LGD, as well as they're playing right now, has done enough to keep him down.
I don't think his Radiance is going to be that big of a deal, though. They do so much burst damage, too, and they are, like, relatively tanky, too. Like, Tiny tanked a Torrent boat, but was not even close to dying in that fight. So I think that, like, Radiance is going to be annoying, but as long as they are fighting around the map like they are, they're not really choosing 5-on-5s. They're just, like, trying to pick off Vici when they're slightly out of position, and if not, just get really big on Tiny because they have the mobility advantage with the relocate. They can't outfarm Vici, and they're only barely outfarming them right now. I guess 2,500 gold with a 1 tower advantage, so pretty much just like 1,200 gold. I guess that tower deny really did help too from Fenrir. They're smoked all behind bottom.
Yep,
Radiant's
ROTK
bottom
gonna
tower
cut the
is
creeps
under
while the
attack.
rest of the team focuses the tier 1 bottom. They should have time to get to top to defend it as well. Here in mid, we can see Rabbit and DDC just continuing to farm away, and
Radiant's
Rabbit about
bottom
3/4
tower
of the
is
way
under attack.
done with his scepter now. This tier 1
Dire's
bottom
top
already
tower
under
is
attack.
under attack.
Tier 1 top taking some damage, and they're going to TP in to try to contest this, and here we go. DDC moves in. Rabbit, though, caught out, and DDC down already. Xiao Wei managed to get off the Doom on ROTK, and Rubik drops next. Xiao Wei trying to pursue them out while ROTK can do nothing but run. Yao moving so quick with Elder Dragon form, and Fenrir next on the list.
Top tower is under
The
attack.
reaction to bottom, very timely and well executed. Managing to keep their tower up and get a couple of kills at the same time. But Lone Druid has finished his Radiance. So let's see if Sylar and the bear, the glowing bear now, will be enough to knock LGD out of their rhythm here in this early to mid game where they've had so much success.
That was a nice coordinated burst on the whiffs too. If they didn't kill him with the
Dire's
boat,
bottom
they would have
tower
easily
is under
chased down
attack.
ROTK and probably gotten 1 or 2 more kills out of that. So it was very important that they picked off Wisp early in the fight. And Rabbit had to back off because he didn't have a Wisp making him Superman.
And Rabbit very, very near to having his scepter done, about 500 gold out. So he's got a chance for a phase drums scepter up short of
They're going
20
to take this
minutes.
tower uncontested though.
Radiant's bottom tower is under
They're
attack.
going to pop the glyph.
Radiant
The rest of
structures
LGD
are
is
fortified.
rotating up towards mid. We'll see if they want to reset and try to push elsewhere.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
They might be looking to trade a T1 for a T2, which is not the best trade for LGD, but at the same time, they are really close to that Scepter on Tiny, which is going to make a pretty big difference too. Doom and DK are also fairly close to their BKB, so it looks like they want to wait for those before they start fighting.
Dire's
Super
top tower is
is
under
actually
attack.
very poor right now, just phase, bottom, bracer with 2,000 gold in the bank.
Radiant's
Not
bottom
really sure
tower
whether he's
is
going to go
under
for
attack.
Shadow Blade or BKB next.
Dire's top tower has fallen.
Top tier 1 drops. In the meantime, top tier, bottom tier 2 in some trouble. And will end up
Radiant's
falling without
bottom tower
any
has fallen.
any contestation from LGD.
It's going to be a Roshan attempt, but they're going to see it with Observer Ward. I definitely think they can take them out at Roshan. LGD can, so Vici has to be very, very careful if they want to try and do that. And you can't really base race as a low druid or as a tiny versus a low druid until you get your scepter. And now that he has a scepter, they can actually trade favorably when it comes to tower racing.
And Roshan abandoned, at least for the moment, by Vici. As we see LGD moving into position. They know Tiny and Io can be there in the blink of an eye.
Dire's
And yeah,
top
they're going to go
tower
ahead and back
is under
off. Not in the
attack.
mood to take it. In the meantime, at top, though, Rabbit and DDC putting some pressure on. And there's the scepter done. So Rabbit in position and ready to fight. Swinging the big stick as Vici rotates towards top to make sure they keep this tier 2 together. Doesn't matter, though, as DDC and Rabbit are both abandoning the siege.
Yep, BKB finished at just about 300 gold for Doombringer. Dragon Knight still about 500 gold away. So once they get those, I think they'll be stronger than Vici. They haven't really fought against the Radiance yet because Radiance is a really big pickup for Lone Druid, and you really want to fight as soon as it comes up. But LGD doing a very good job of avoiding fights. Although they trade unfavorably a T1 for a T2, it's still way better than getting team wiped because you don't have BKBs.
We're just past 20 minutes into the game. Take a look at the goal graph. We can see LGD owns the lead, a marginal one, but not inconsiderable at 2,000. Experience, though, is where they're really shining, especially given how far behind they were falling during the laning phase. Now up to about a 7,500 experience lead. Taking a look at the net worth, we can see Sylar, to no one's surprise, sitting near the top. However, Doom and Tiny have held their own as well, only about 500 to 1,000 gold behind for the both of them.
They're all huddled around the Roshan pit. There goes Sylar. They know they're in there.
And moving in.
Xiao Wei's waiting for his BKB, and then they'll probably go. They can't take out Roshan that fast. They don't have that much minus armor, especially without a medallion build on Visage. And here they go.
Xiao 8 leading the way, trying to find a target, and unable to do so. Uses a little level death action on ROTK.
He's right on his level death too. Level 2 level death is level 5, so ROTK is level 10. That thing does a lot of damage, especially when Bristleback doesn't build any sort of magic resistance.
Yep. And Roche seems to continue to be the crux of this mid game, as neither team willing to totally abandon it. Rabbit and DDC, obviously because of relocate, they can go do things elsewhere. Vici, though, starting to roam pretty much as 5. We're not seeing them split up hardly at all now. BKB now done on Yao, so the Magic community on him and Doom. Going to be a pretty big factor moving ahead, especially with that Radiance out. But Shadowblade done on Super, so he's going to have a decent amount of physical DPS coming out of his hero as well.
Tiny has his Yasha in the bank too, so he's actually getting pretty farmed. And this Observer Ward will see them going in there. But the 3 heroes of LGD are still around. That Roshi at about half HP, and here they go. Another attempt, and this time they have to commit.
Xiao 8 grabs the illusion. They're going to stay in. We see Kunkka hanging around the top, super ready to toss the boat. There's a Vintage Familiar stuns, and here we go. FY in some trouble. There's a Torrent, but the BKB prevents any kind of damage. In the meantime, Druid manages to get the Aegis of the Immortal. Toss of Yao. ROTK brought down immediately. There's the boat. DD drops DDC in some trouble as well. Could be a big win, but Relocate gets him back to safety. Rabbit not quite so lucky as he ends up dropping. Super could be next on the list, but Xiao 8 and Yao are burning. They do manage to bring down the Aegis. However, they're going to end up trading both of their lives for it. Big win for Vici as they cut down on the lead a bit. They didn't manage to hang on to the Aegis, but they did take a win. And now this Tier 2 mid going to make a very appetizing target.
That wasn't actually a huge win for Vici. It was a slight win. It was a 4-for-4 trade. They didn't get the Wisp, and Siler didn't die, but they burned through Aegis, and they also used a buyback on ROTK. They're going to be able to get 2 towers out of that, and I think that's what the real big win is for them. And Siler managing to snatch that Aegis. They tried to BKB and run in, but Siler was too quick on the right click.
And ROTK and Siler doing the majority of the damage. See DD hanging around the back, not a lot he can do. Gonna be, yep, they're actually going to be able to pull they're going to be forced to pull back, and LGD managing to only lose 1 tower off of that it could have been a lot worse. Could have been much, much worse. 18-11 now as we continue through our mid game. Look at that lead. Marginal as it was, LGD's lost every bit of it. We're back down to 0. The experience still in favor of LGD, but Vici certainly gaining some ground.
Yep, looking to get Rabbit stacked though. He needs Manta Style. He needs a couple more items too, or he could just get AC too. AC is very, very effective versus Vici's lineup. Xiao 8 looking for a kill, and that's the thing about Doombringer. Once you buy back, he's very ultimate dependent. ROTK gonna get caught out without a buyback.
Rabbit, make sure they help.
Oh, they're going for more.
Yep, and Yao's got a haste rune. FY's in trouble. He catches him with the edge of the avalanche. Another big kill. And a very nice and very effective smoke gank out of LGD. DDC left Rabbit. And they're going to be ready. The creeps are a little too far back for them to push. Siler's hanging around the Tier 2, but just being kept off of farm. In the meantime, Super trying to do what he can. He's level 11, though, and his net worth not nearly where he wants it to be. He's hanging right around the middle of the pack, 7,400 for him. And as good as Siler's done, he's at about 13,000 net worth right now. 10,000, 10,000, and 9,000 for Tiny, Doom, and DK respectively. So right now the item progression on the damage dealers for LGD just miles ahead of where Vici Gaming is.
Yeah, Vici does have the AC up on the Lone Druid, and that is really, really important for them. Curious to see what Rabbit is going to build next. Doom probably needs a Shiva's Guard. Pipe would be okay. I guess they have BKB, so they don't really need it, but some sort of utility item would be nice for them. ROTK is constantly doomed, though. I'm still surprised that he hasn't opted for any sort of magic resistance.
And Vici moving straight down mid lane. They've got some enemies up on the
They don't have
ground.
vision up the hill, though. This could be a very disastrous fight for Vici if they walk right into them.
Yep, and Xiao 8, they're in position, eating a lot of damage. Oh, Super gets off the X. BKB's going to be popped. In the meantime, Rabbit laying into Fenrir. And Xiao 8, low on health. ROTK, the one doomed out. He's cleaned up as Xiao goes to work and doing his own job. Here comes the TP back in, the buyback from Doom. Xiao 8 wants to try to pursue them out. Buyback on Tiny as well. And Siler and Fenrir trying to make a run for it. Xiao 8's right on their tail. Ends up getting stunned by the Visage Familiars, but Rabbit and DD hook up with him. In the meantime, DDC's there. Has Relocate ready to go, but not enough. Man, a big toss! And Xiao 8 using the stomp to slow down Fenrir. Bot time for the Avalanche and the Breathe Fire to follow. And Rabbit's tosses have been excellent this game, allowing them to secure yet another kill as they ran them down from behind.
Yeah, they wanted to kill Siler so badly there. He's only died once this game. He also has a casual cloak on him, and ROTK still getting doomed every single fight. So it looks like we may have found the Bristleback counter.
And looks like the tier 2 mid, especially with Tiny, swinging from the shoelaces with the big old tree. Able to put some pressure on and get a few free pot shots on the tier 2. Vici, though, in position and ready to go back to work. They're going to charge right back down mid. They're lacking their Visage, but looks like Siler, with only one bear at his disposal right now, nonetheless willing to lead the charge. It's about 50 seconds until he'll have a resummon available. And this could be bad. LGD's already set their heels and in position.
10 seconds left on Doom. They need to wait for
that. Spot him. And there's X marks the spot. And BK being through it. And Siler caught out. Dragon Tail gonna be ready. Yep, they caught him with it now. The damage done. ROTK in trouble. The toss is there trying to mech through the damage. However, they've already lost one. There's a second death now, and Super's now the one who's doomed. ROTK caught from behind with the Dragon Tail. He's dead, while Zhao 8 continues to pursue out Super. Fenrir tardy to the party, unable to contribute to that fight. And the, oh, nice! Rabbit tossing the little guy. Securing the kill from behind with the toss creep.
That was very aggressive by Vici. I'm not exactly sure why they pushed there, because everything was off cooldown from LGD. Yeah, they used their buybacks, but it's not like they're that weak at that point. And their BKBs were already back up too, so that timing was very, very questionable for Vici. Also, Siler's positioning is typically very good before that fight, and then he was the one that got caught out by the DK stun. A very timely BKB from Yao, and turned that fight around for them.
Rabbit telekinesis. Here comes the boat. Will it connect? It will not. So they're able to ward them off of the tier 3. But back to that previous fight, I agree with you. And not only that, they were short-handed.
Yeah.
Visage wasn't even there. And just, yeah, it seems like just a little bit of overzealousness, a little bit of false optimism.
I think, yeah, maybe they thought that Doom was still off cooldown, but I mean, they didn't even really need Doom to win that fight. Kunkka was doomed when he was just running. He already used his X-Torrent combo. So, yeah, it was just, I mean, questionable decision-making there. LGD, they did buy back, and they haven't died since. So if Vici takes a 5-on-5 fight in the next couple of minutes, they can probably get a free Roshan out of that. So they need to be looking to do that. Vici, in the meantime, they've all expended their like buyback extended timers. So checking buyback status of ROTK, I think, is the main one, and Super. Super actually just bought back, so he won't have it up, and ROTK does not have enough gold for it too. So we're looking at both of these teams having to fight short-handed if any of them die early in the fight.
Speaking of Super, unfortunately for Vici, for Vici, he really just has not felt like he's had any influence on this game. I mean, he's been present on the map. He's hit a few expos, and so on and so forth. But the BKB's coming out at such a good clip for Zhao 8. And for Yao, really negating a lot of his effectiveness. And he's sitting at 1-5 and 9. I mean, not only has he not had much of an impact, he hasn't even been around in these fights to contribute as much as he would like.
Yeah, it's difficult. Super can't be in the front because he'll just get doomed. And then if he stays in the back, he has to wait until the BKBs are over, which is already when most of the damage has been done. So Super's life is not easy, and he can't do any right-click damage because his damage is pretty pathetic right now. Even with Shadow Blade and Tidebringer, it's like, what, 200-ish damage? That's not very much.
In comparison, Rabbit hitting for in the nature of 300 to 350. And he's already got 2,800 gold in the bank as well. Looks like he's working on an Assault Cuirass. In fact, he pretty much has that bad boy done. Already has the Hyperstone up.
It's going to be a relatively short Roshan respawn. About 1 minute and 15 seconds on that. Post 8 minutes, so about a minute from now.
Highly contested and very likely. And, you know, this is really where any kind of composition with an IO, this is where that kind of composition really comes into effect. When you get into these 30 to 60 minute stages where Roshan becomes such a huge focal point, and whereas the other team has to usually run as 4, or at most, or at least 4, usually 5, around Roche when they know he's due to respawn or they know he's up, you can just send 2 out very safely and know that you can come right in on top of their face if they do decide to make a run at Roshan. So this is a very nice period for LGD, and they've got to feel good about their standing moving ahead. I mean, obviously they've got a decent lead, about 7,500 gold, 12,000 experience though. Really a huge level lead they've built so far.
If Vici loses one more fight, like they get 3-1, 4-1, something like that, and they take the Roshan, Vici is most likely going to lose the game from there. So Vici very, very close to just being out of this game. There was a gem pickup by Visage. He did deward one ward, but I mean, it's pretty much all in for Vici. It doesn't really seem like that just from the metrics, but the way the game flow is, the way that LGD can control the map, and the way that they can move around the map and farm efficiently with the help of a Wisp relocate is just going to be able to starve Vici out. They are scouting out for Roshan. Roshan has respawned. They should smoke and take it if they can. That is very, very important for them.
Yep, there's the smoke. And I didn't see. Did they spot it? Do they know he's up?
They know he's up. They sent the bear in.
Okay.
But I guess they're looking for a kill right before. But
yep.
LGD is pretty scared too. Oh, they're all money 5. DDC and Rabbit. They might actually see him up the hill.
Very fortuitous double damage rune, and nobody's going to be home. This is going to be a lot of wasted time for Vici. In the meantime, LGD.
I think they could have just done Roshan. Like, they still have no clue. LGD doesn't have any clue that Roshan's up, and they could have just sneaked it. It would already been dead by now.
Big missed opportunity, as you said. I agree with you completely. They, instead of taking the sure thing, they got a little greedy and wanted a kill to make sure that there wasn't even a contest for Roshan, and instead they waste the smoke and waste some time. And in bottom lane, LGD's now gathered, and they're ready to push down this last outer tier tower. Tier 2 bottom, not going to stand long.
This tower is actually pretty important to take down because more likely than not, Super or ROTK is going to get doomed very early, and they'll need to be able to buy back if they want to win the fight. And now you're trying to base race versus a Tiny with a Scepter with an AC. That's not going to happen. They have to TV back right now.
Structures are fortified.
And we can see LGD is going to be quite happy with that result. They take a free tower. They force all of Vici back into the base, waste their time, waste their TPs. ROTK, even though he started fairly well, he's tanked up fairly decently. He's got 1,800 HP with a bit.
It's the fake Roshan attempt. Well, they actually know that they're not doing it because of the birds, but
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Vici staying in the vicinity. Rabbit's right there. There's the bear. He's going to spot it out. And looking for the avalanche. Got it off on ROTK. Going to work on that bear. The bear very low. There's going to be a stun on ROTK. Forced out to safety, but there's a root. BKBs are up. Bear eating a lot of damage right now. There's the X marks the spot on Xiao 8. However, BKB through it. ROTK trying to chase him down. And the bear quite low. He does have a resummon. There's a toss and a doom on ROTK as he drops down. And now a great avalanche caught to FY. Frostbitten down, Super in trouble as well. One big swipe and he drops Super. Has to run for the well. And that's another big trade going the way of LGD. But ROTK off the buyback. Wants to take it down and will. Siler's right there as well. X marks the spot as Xiao 8 doesn't have a BKB. And another buyback now on the side of Tiny. And here comes the relocate. Waiting on it, waiting on it, waiting on it. Gonna be a throwdown as DDC hooks back up with Yao and tries to get away. Looks like they should be able to finish him off, and they do. And off of that, Vici should take a free Roshan. That's just the shot in the arm they needed to get themselves back into this game.
Also, Rabbit shouldn't have bought back there. If Doom doesn't have buyback, there's no point in Tiny buying back either. So now that was a very, very important fight for Vici. ROTK tanked the Doom, bought back, went right back into the fight. LGD has to be a little bit aware of that too. They're fighting right under the T3, so they also used their BKBs very early on in the fight. Dragon Knight used it as well as Doom, and all they really got for their BKBs as well as a Doom was a Bristleback. So they traded very poorly in that cooldown department, and then after that Vici was able to roll them because Super was left unchecked as well as Siler. So LGD taking 4 deaths there as well as a buyback, and Vici being able to pick up an Aegis. They're right back in this game.
And taking a look at Siler, speak of the devil, looks like he's disconnected momentarily. He, depending on what he wants to build, he's already got the Demon Edge up on the bear. He is very, very close to having an MKB if he wants to go that direction. And one would imagine that would be the pickup. As of right now, 2 outer tier towers remain for LGD. Both very, very low, though, and both below 400, 500 HP, actually. And in fact, the top tier 2 sitting at about 200. But this Aegis is quite a big deal. And we've seen the effectiveness of Doom against ROTK. It's becoming a question of just how much work they can do, they can get done before ROTK gets caught out. And super unfortunately, again, having a very tough game, 1-5-10, his performance. He is beginning to feel a little bit more. He's beginning to get close to a BKB. He's got his Ogre Club up already. Only he can afford the Mithril Hammer right now, and only about another 700 gold in total for him to finish the BKB as a whole.
I think at this point it may be smarter for LGD to just Doom someone, but not actually kill them, as long as they think they have buyback up. Just because the way the fights are going, they're trading Doom for pretty much nothing. It's a buyback, and then they're going to lose a fight too. So LGD, they have to play around their cooldowns a little bit better. Either wait for Doom, buyback, and then back off, and then fight again once all your cooldowns are up, or they just need to Doom them and then not actually kill them, so that they can actually fight a 4-on-5 fight, which Doom should lead to.
Looks like, yep, ready to go. And Roshan will end up dropping here. This is Roshan number 2, so the next one to come up will be Cheese.
Roshan has fallen to
Off
the
of the
die.
Roche, and they actually give it to ROTK. I was actually wondering the same thing, if they were going to give it to the Lone Druid or if they were going to make it ROTK's. I really like them giving it to ROTK in this situation. Make him a less viable Doom target, let him hang around in these fights a little bit more, and let him to just do what a Bristleback should, which is YOLO his way in and just Quill Spray and Warpath his way to victory.
Yep, Super still working on his BKB. He is just so poor this game. 1-5-10. Looking at the net worth, he is number 5, but well behind number 4. 4,000 gold lead behind Dragon Knight. Dragon Knight have his Heaven's Halberds up. Meanwhile, we see Lone Druid compete his MKB, which is I'm not really sure why he got MKB.
Just pure out and out damage, I would imagine. But gonna have a hard time using him whenever you have to deal with 2 Heaven's Halberds, which is what we see now, as Doom has finished one of his own. Taking a look at Rabbit, has his Yasha done, and with his Scepter, I mean, he's getting very close to being 6-slotted. I mean, he's got a TP still yet. Could always sell his drums if he really, really wants to, but should be working on a Manta style. Wouldn't be surprised at all if his next pickup was an Ultimate Orb.
Yeah, I'm still surprised at MKB pickup, though. If you want damage, you can go Maelstrom, or you can go Chrysalis even. So, I mean, MKB, it's very, very unlikely that I guess they have the evasion on the Dragon Knight for Heaven's Halberd. It's only 25% evasion. It's only one hero. Actually, Doombringer has one too. Never mind. So, I guess the MKB pickup is totally worth it.
Doom just now finishing his Halberd of his own, as mentioned. And Vici not willing to set back and try to farm. They're moving as 5, and they are moving through their own jungle, looking to loop around and take a shot.
If they kill Rabbit, they can win the game. Just because he doesn't have buyback right now, because he wasted it that last fight. So if they kill Rabbit,
has buyback at all.
Yeah.
Literally, not a single hero on the map. So this is Raw Dog style. There's no buyback now.
DDC also has to be very careful where he relocates in. If he relocates Rabbit into a Torn Boat and DDC dies as well, Rabbit doesn't have BKB, so he's going to die as well. So they have to be very, very careful. I would say just relocate somewhere back here, not right into the middle of a fight. Unless they Doom Super.
Vici perhaps looking to capitalize on their advantage. Finally, one hero does have buyback. That's FY. And nope, they're going to go ahead and back off. A little surprised, actually.
Yeah, it's risky, but at the same time, they could potentially win the game right there on the spot. So now they're going to wait, and now they're going to have a chance, or now LGD is going to have a chance to wait for the Aegis to expire. They have a chance to wait for Rabbit's buyback, which cools down in 2.5 minutes. So I'd say the backing off definitely favors LGD, though, because it was a very precarious position for them to be in.
And Rabbit continuing to just farm like a beast. Let's see what he's got on the way to him. Yep, will be his Manta style fully done. So again, very, very near 6-slotted now.
They don't have enough AoE to clear. Like, Radiance damage is slow. Bristleback, he usually gets doomed. And Kuka doesn't have enough cleave damage to kill him either. So the Manta Illusions are going to be able to do a fair amount of work.
See Vici dropping down the Sentry. And LGD right in the same vicinity. And both teams continue to run as 5. Roshan still about 5 minutes until we know his full duration. But the tankiness on both sides is certainly becoming an issue for each team in its own right. The evasion on Zhao 8 and Yao, as you had mentioned, they're very tanky. 2,400 HP on Zhao 8 just by himself. Yao has 2,100 plus all of the bonus armor. And Tiny certainly sitting pretty.
Zhao 8 they find him.
And here we go, BKBs are up. DDC's hooked up with him, going to work on ROTK. ROTK not doomed yet. And we'll be able to make it away. There's a root on the Zhao 8, but Rabbit's right there up front, ready to fight. Yao down to about half health, will be forced staff to safety. And looks like, there's an X on Zhao 8. He doesn't have BKB. Torrent's well timed, can they follow it up? Here comes the boat, Super pops his own BKB. Boat will catch DDC behind the fight. Zhao 8 eating a lot of damage, but ROTK eating some as well. Rabbit just going to work. In the meantime, Yao pops his own BKB, uses Breathe Fire. They get the Aegis. Sylar, more staffed away, but they're going to end up bringing down the Dragon Knight. Rabbit going to work, and Super, oh, denied! Denied by the Visage, however, FY able to finish things off. His death finishes things off, and ROTK next to drop. So Vici hesitating a little bit and being punished, losing the Aegis and losing 4 heroes. The only one to make it away was Fenrir. And granted, they did manage to deny one of those heroes, so I'm pretty sure it was ROTK.
That was one of the best team fights I've seen from LGD. They were really, really good about managing their cooldowns. Zhao 8 did not use his Doom early. He did not use his BKB early. He waited for Kunkka to BKB, show up in sight. He doomed him, and Yao was also very patient with his Doom too. Rabbit's positioning was phenomenal in that fight too. Did not get caught in the torrent and boat, yet was still able to beat down on them while they were BKB'd. Now with ROTK down and Sylar down for 20 seconds, this should be an easy racks for LGD.
Rabbit going to work. There's another X onto Rabbit. He will be caught with the torrent this time. There's the boat as well. Rabbit able to dodge it. Super's right there. Super pops his BKB, continuing to do what work he can. They get the melee racks. And Zhao 8 pops his BKB to secure his escape as well. And Vici not willing to give up the ghost. FY has a force staff ready if he wants to take a shot at it, and will. Telekinesis back. Visage Familiars are in position. The avalanche there, stolen by FY as well. And let's see what he managed to get that time. Got Scorched Earth, and Zhao 8 will be cleaned up from behind. So they get a return kill. That's going to be all 5 up now for Vici, and Doom down for 70 seconds. Doom does not have buyback.
It's not that.
Oh, he does. It's
actually not that important of a death, though. Just because Roshan isn't up, Vici is in no condition to push right now, and he has buyback. So that death was perfectly okay, especially when they got a melee Rex in return too. Vici, they have to get the next Aegis. If they give it to LGD, LGD will just crush them with the item advantage. Now Rabbit has buyback too, and he almost has BKB, so he just needs like 300 gold until he gets that. If he gets the Aegis on top of that, Vici just does not have the gold, the items, the team fight to deal with that. Super still suffering very greatly. Shadowblade and BKB only 42 minutes in on that. Now Rabbit has surpassed Sylar in terms of net worth.
Yeah, Rabbit at this point is huge, and one would imagine his next step will be to finish the BKB, which he's very nearly done with now. And in fact, very little. Super's going to get caught out and able to Shadow Blade away with no detection on Rabbit. But yeah, right there's his BKB done. And after this, I mean, he can sell his drums and go hard.
Yao.
And I don't know how they'll kill him. FY there, gets the telekinesis off. Super's right there as well. Torrent on the money, but Force Staff getting him a little bit of distance. And X back, but looks like Vici unwilling to overcommit there.
It's very difficult for Vici. Like, even with the BKBs being on this short duration, 4 seconds on the Doombringer and 5 seconds on a Dragon Knight, it's still just very difficult for them to find a clean initiate. Because if ROTK runs in, he gets doomed. If Kunkka tries to X mark the spot, they BKB and turn around on them. Sylar, he can't just let his bear do work because they'll just stun it out with DK and kill it. So, like, Vici has a work cut out for them for initiation, whereas LGD, DK stun, focus down. Tiny combo, focus down. Doom somebody, focus down. Their chain of initiation for team fights is just much simpler to execute.
Yao leading the way, going to run right into the team. FY the one caught out, and immediately BKB's up on both sides. There's the boat. It'll connect but not do anything as everyone's magic immune. ROTK doomed through his own BKB. Tracked down from behind. He's down for 66 seconds at this point. And they toss Zhao 8 after Fenrir. They're going to dive it. Running all the way past the tier 3s, the tier 4s, and Fenrir trying to make a run for the well. However, a parting toss.
If Rabbit tossed him back, that would have been a kill too. I'm surprised that he tossed him into him.
Nonetheless, ROTK is down,
Dire's
and he
bottom
does not
tower
have
is
buyback.
under attack.
And this is going to be another set of racks. In the meantime, Siler caught with Frostbite. That'll be GG. Siler's going to drop here. And
Siler has buyback though.
forced to buy back, but at this point they're lacking too much. Super's just being blown up. The Bear, oh no. Frostbitten down, slowed down. He's done it. GG cold.
Dire's middle
So
barracks are
LGD
under attack.
in control, or at least in the lead for a
Radiant's top
considerable
tower is
amount of that
LGD.
game.
Victory.
Gave up some ground following that disaster in Roshan, but able to slam the door shut after Vici overextends in mid, and on the heels of Rabbit swinging the big stick and doing most of the damage. They take game one and move one game away from a berth in our grand finals. What a game, Ben.
Yeah, that was excellently played by LGD. I think two really important fights, or actually Vici, when they had the Aegis and they didn't decide to push on the left side, I think that cost them. And also LGD's fantastic team fight in mid defending that T2 really won them the game right there on the spot. Nice BKB usage, ultimate usage, and positioning. LGD also recovered from a fairly weak laning phase, so if they can actually get ahead in the early game, I think they'll be able to take down Vici pretty easily in game number 2. So very well played by both teams.
Good performances out of Yao and Rabbit in particular. A 10, 3, and 16 performance for the Dragon Knight handled by Yao. And Tiny, of course. Rabbit leading the way 14, 4, and 17 with a 635 GPM. By the time all was said and done, he and IO hooked up. DDC involved in 27 of the 37 kills LGD was able to tally throughout this game. And yeah, I mean, what it comes down to whenever you look at the other side of things, unfortunately for Vici, they just got so little mileage out of Super in particular, finishing the game at just 1-7 and 11. And even across the board from there, they didn't get nearly as much out of ROTK as they would have liked, owed in large part to the Doom pick. 2, 9, and 12 for him. Moving ahead to our next game here, Merlini. What adjustments, if any, should Vici be making? LGD able to derail them in the early game? Should they draft more towards their natural, comfortable state? Or should they try to mix things up in game 2?
I think this hero lineup is more of their natural, comfortable state. I think they should draft for Super earlier, just because, I mean, his Gunga's like whatever, but they should draft a Dragon Knight or Soren Spirit either in Phase 1 or Phase 2 of the game. Like LGD, they picked Dragon Knight very, very early. Too. Also, I think they should ban out EO, just because it's not like they played very poorly versus it. LGD was just able to get so far ahead because of the threat of relocate, and they had a 5-man all game, whereas LGD couldn't move in packs of 3, as well as EO and Tiny, and then they can just farm around the map, whereas Vici was just trying to move around as 5 and got super, super under farm. The only person who got good farm was Siler, so ban Wiz, draft better for Super, and I think their play was pretty good too.
Oh yeah, I think it was as well. 44 minutes, 33 seconds, the official game time, 37-20. The final kill score. Game 1 in the books. Vici now 1 game away from falling in the lower bracket. LGD looks to remain perfect and move to the grand finals if they can get a game to win. We're going to be heading into game 2 shortly. Stick with us, guys. We'll be right back here on the HyperX D2L.